Alright, I am tying up my all-time favorite fly, and a fly that has just been made infinitely easier due to a new product. So I reached out to Fulling Mill a couple weeks ago, and basically I've been so low on CDC buggers. No, I've been out of CDC buggers for quite a while, and they've been on my short list to restock just because, like I said, it's my all-time favorite fly, and it's been one of the top sellers for like 7 years, as long as I've been doing this. And so yeah, I was putting those off, and I just got tired of waiting, but I still didn't want to put the time into stripping CDC. And so I reached out, like, pleading with them to produce a CDC dubbing, since they already had an in-house line of CDC that was extensive and quality was good. So I thought it was worth a shot. And apparently I have so much influence that they, not only did they agree, but within one message response, they had already rushed it through production, and it was already sitting on the site. I mean, like, I try to stay humble, but situations like this, it's hard not to get full of myself, because... Okay, I'm done. Literally, though, that day, give or take, I don't know if it was loaded that day, but it was so new that it hadn't been announced yet, and timing just was comical. It was so good. So, needless to say, I bought a figurative ton of it, and like I said, it's making this fly infinitely easier, not having to worry about stripping CDC, and also being able to buy a bunch of different colors that I would never use, like feathers for, because that's my other big hesitation, is I don't want 3 grams of some color that I solely want to strip for buggers. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got to say about that. So, I have had a lot of requests about making the dubbing blend that I use on these, and every time I'm asked, I say the same thing. It's always different. Like, I am constantly adding and subtracting stuff, but I wanted to do a just really basic version just to give an idea. First and foremost, proportionately, I want half of the dubbing, the end result, to be CDC, at least. Because when you start getting less than that, and I know this from just trying to stretch out my CDC dubbing that I would make myself, I would just keep adding filler to it, and eventually you've got filler dubbing with CDC in it, and that's not the goal for me on this fly. The goal is to use CDC with enhancements in it. So one part CDC, and then the other part, the other half, is just, it's always got some natural, because I don't want 50% flash in the blend. That and the synthetics, they can get messy when you're combining such a delicate fiber like CDC. Like, they can get really tangly and all that, and it's just not a good mix. So I'll use probably nearly half of that half will be something like a rabbit, some medium to longish natural fiber. And then on top of that, I will add either flash or flashy blends. And so for the simplified version, got all of CDC. So needless to say, I'm making more than I need for a single fly. Granted, this is a size 6, which is going to be a new version available in every color, actually. So literally, I'm offering every color under the sun. It's a big undertaking, but worth it. So say this is the amount of CDC I'm using. When you double this and then like mix it, stretch it out, like it's gonna tie a few flies. So I always also say that anytime I've mixed this stuff, I'm always mixing it by hand at first. I have started using the coffee grinder, but I reserve that for once I know exactly what I want in it, in that particular blend. I do not. Granted, well, no, this stuff isn't cheap. Even the dubbing isn't cheap, so I might not be slaving over a pile of CDC for 2 hours, stripping each feather, but the dubbing cost a little bit, so I don't want to just throw it in a coffee grinder with some miscellaneous and realize that the end result is not what I was looking for. So I always want to know what I'm going to make. And for the natural, I've got a rabbit zonker. Looks like a micro rabbit zonker. And if I have zonker material, that's what I get the rabbit from. Because you're going to get a lot longer fur than using just straight rabbit dubbing. Because that stuff's been chopped, processed, like it's generally shorter. And so yeah, I like doing it this way. I can be sure that I'm getting the added length. And you can just pluck it right off the zonker. You don't have to worry about carefully trimming it like I did for a long time. And then I'm using 2 flashes. One is Siman Peacock Fine Dubbing in green, which pretty much every blend, this, the black or the bronze version will go into, just because it's just one of my favorite like additive dubbings, as well as like finishing collar dubbings. I rarely use it for full bodies, but use it more than probably anything for finishing flies. Oops. I guess I got enough. Lastly is UV olive. It might be UV dark olive. If I didn't just drop the bag, I'd tell you. But I'm pretty sure it's UV dark olive ice dub. And that was what the original, that was a third of the original Big T's CDC UV jig micro woolly bugger tungsten bead headed fly, I think is what he calls it. If I had a good memory, I would spit out the acronym and say that's what I call it for short. That'd be a freakishly good memory, though. So, I am mixing up the filler. That is always the first thing I do. Because again, I make sure I've got what I want before the CDC gets into the picture. And so that's good. And I mean, you can see it's a little off kilter. I'm gonna add a little more CDC. And granted, the CDC hasn't been pulled apart like that dubbing just was, but I'm gonna take the filler, which is the 3 dubbings that I just mentioned, and then pure CDC. And I get much more complicated than this far too often, but that's just plain. Like, I don't ever need to. Well, rarely do I need to, unless I'm looking for a specific color. But when it comes to like the olive version, I could do this, which I'm sure I did early on, and never change it. So I'm just gonna rip and stack it. Obviously not ripping it, like, not trying to rip the fibers, but just mixing it up a bit. Doesn't take much. And so now that you've got that, you've got about a 2-minute fly. So I've got a number 6 Partridge Ideal jig hook, which I've been super excited about. I'm always looking for larger jig hooks. And I came across these in a size 6 and a size 4. And they've been sweet for like the bigger jig streamers that I don't necessarily want the extra long shank for. I did that for no reason at all other than habit. So I'm just going to take the tip of a feather, a Marabou feather, which I don't just use the tip. That just, I grabbed a full feather to prep for this video, and obviously I'm going to use the tip first. I guess not obviously, you could like pull from the bottom. So, I mean, tail is just subjective. Whether you want it long, short, full, sparse, it's up to you. Because you got to remember, this isn't just like a bait fish fly. This is, the woolly bugger is not just a bait fish. It's crayfish, it's large mayflies, stoneflies. Like, you tie this in a black and a size 12, it's why I don't fish girdle bugs and stuff like that, because I genuinely feel as if this fulfills in a couple colors all of my stonefly needs, the larger versions anyways. And so this thing is like, and that's what makes it my favorite fly, is it's so versatile. And I think it's the CDC that, part of the reason that makes it that way. I mean, I wish Big T got more credit for this fly. Like, I think it is that, I've been tying flies for a while, and it's rare I see anything that's like, any material combos that's just out of left field, but ends up as productive. Granted, I'm biased. He was local at the time, and I got in on the ground floor. Hey, you stay put. So, I would also caution against trying to like pack on CDC, because you usually need less than you think, like most materials, and pack on CDC dubbing. It's, if you pick it out prior to fishing it, it's gonna fill out with a lot less than you think. And plus you want the fibers to move. You don't want like 1 wad of CDC. It's not going to have near the movement that it would if you give the fibers individual room to just do their own thing. So lastly, I would grab the UV dark / not dark olive ice dub and finish it. But since I don't want to show you the top of my hat and hear my old man grunts as I bend down to pick something up, my newly acquired old man grunts, I'm just going to use more CDC dubbing, but just dubbed on. And this is something I've also always done. I've just always finished streamers or jig streamers and streamers with beads. I've always finished them with dubbing. I just think it cleans the fly up so much, forcing all the materials backwards. It's more aesthetic than anything, but it does help protect your thread as well, because it doesn't take much teasing to where now you've got a full veil of dubbing over your thread, and it's going to take that much effort for a fish toothuses to like get down there and just wreak havoc on it. I can't understate how productive this fly is for me. I have caught fish from saltwater to freshwater, from trout to bass to panfish. I used to say I caught a turtle, but I really think that was on a mop. I'm not positive. You would think that would like solidify itself in your mind, a big old snapping turtle. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, it works, and it works in most conditions. There really isn't a scenario where I won't have them with me. I was going to show you a dry fly I just tied out of one, and it turned out insane. Man, I wish I knew where that was, but I'm sure I'll be posting it and spamming the interwebs with it once I get a chance to photograph and potentially film it. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay, fish it, love it, and then you videotape yourself tying it.